Hello and welcome back to Sokovia. Last time we built the terrain for the section of the capital city that Ultron ripped out of the earth. And today we're going to start building the city itself. So this is where we left off last time. As always, I wanted to try to recreate the city as accurately as possible. So here are some screenshots of the city from the movie. I'm going to begin with this section of the city that was right along the river. You can see the broken bridge in the middle of the screen, and there's an open area beyond it that's surrounded by buildings. And by the way, this is the bridge that Cap was hanging on a little bit later in the movie. Here's some additional screenshots that show this area from different angles. As you can see, there's a lot of detail here with rubble, wrecked cars, flagpoles, streetlights, and all kinds of stuff. I'm not going to have the toy box memory that I need in order to recreate all this detail, so I need to pick and choose which details to include. I need to include enough detail to make the location recognizable, but I can't fill it up with too much stuff because I just don't have the memory. For example, there's a short, weird-shaped building in the upper left corner of this area, and this would be difficult to recreate with the buildings that we have available in the toy box. And also, it closes off this area too much from the rest of the city, so I chose to omit that. It makes the gameplay a little bit easier because the player can move around the toy box without having to go around that building. And also, you can see from this shot, as well as the first shot that I showed earlier, that there are two buildings to the right of the bridge. I chose to ignore the second building and just recreate the one that's closest to the bridge, since that's the more recognizable one when you're in this location. Here's a good close-up shot of that building. You can see the bottom floor is different than the floors above, so I think that's an important detail that's easy to recreate with what we have available. And here we have a good close-up shot of the other big building that closes off this area. Notice there's a street or an alley to the right of the building. There's also a protruding entryway with a statue out front, but I don't see that in this shot, the one I showed you first, so I'm going to leave that out. I'm going to leave out that protruding entryway in order to save memory. So as we come back into the toy box, we're going to begin over on this side of the toy box, and again, the sun is facing out that way. That's where the helicarrier is going to sit later. And we're going to begin with this little lower area that I put in last time. And this is where the bridge is going to sit. And we have this snowy arch bridge section from the Toy Box Speedway game. And that's where you unlock that. And it's a really good match. Pretty close for what we have available in the movie. So we're going to place that here. And I really don't like the fact that they stuck the bridge down lower than the terrain next to it. But in this particular instance, that actually looks good because it makes it look like the bridge has come loose a little bit and isn't sitting very sturdy there. So I like that. And then we'll begin with the big building here that's sitting next to it on the right of it. So we're going to go down to Building Sets Group 2. And because this is a Marvel-themed toy box and not the Incredibles or a cartoony style toy box, we're going to use the more realistic buildings that are in Building Sets Group 2. Those fit the Marvel characters a lot better. And I like this for the base of the building because it has the concrete columns on the corners and around the doors. That looks a lot like what you see in the movie. So you'll notice I'm placing this right on the corner of the terrain block there. And then the building right next to it, we're going to put two of those stacked up. And that's what we're going to use for the windows in that building. All right. Now we're going to come down to the blocks drawer and we're going to put some spacer blocks in. We're going to do this a lot just to try to get the buildings in the correct locations. So we're going to set one of these right here on the corner of the building and we're going to put 3 of them down, like you see there. And again, these are just temporary blocks. We're going to put 2 more in like that. And then we're going to put 1, 2, and a little one on the end. And that's going to space out the buildings for this section of the toy box. Okay, so that's what you should have. And back up to Building Sets Group 2. We're going to come over to the stone skyscraper piece, and this is going to sit right in here like that. Okay, and we're going to put 3 of these across, and we're going to stack them 2 high. And then we're going to do the same thing over here. So these are going to sit like that. And again, 3 across and 2 high. For the long building that blocks in this end of the open area, we'll use this skyscraper base here. And we're going to place this one. Let me grab my screenshot here. Okay. So let's put in one more little spacer block here. We're going to put this one in like this. And you might be wondering, is this really necessary to be this precise? The answer is yes. It absolutely is. Because all of this needs to line up when we put in all the details and everything else. Alright, so that is where those buildings sit. And now you can take out these spacer blocks. Alright, and then on this end of the area, we had another building that stood on this corner. And so we're going to put that one in next. And for that, we are going to use this large brick skyscraper piece. And again, we're going to sit that right on the corner of the terrain block that's underneath it. We'll put that one 2 high. And once again, a couple of little spacer blocks to make sure we put the next little building in the right spot. We'll use the large stone skyscraper piece for this one. That's going to sit right there, again, 2 high. Okay, so there is that little area. And without that little shorter, funny shape building in here, this looks kind of open. But once we put the sidewalk in and some rubble and stuff, it's going to fill in this empty area pretty well. So definitely want to leave them spaced the way they are. By the way, we can take those spacer blocks out from last time. I forgot to do that. And there was also, I believe, yeah, I think there was another little section here that I forgot. So we're going to pick this piece up, put it down. I forgot to put this little thing over here. And again, that used the Dusty Crop Hopper runway texture. Okay. Now, it isn't clear how the other locations in the city, like the old church, are positioned relative to this location. However, we have this shot from the movie where Ultron and his minions are approaching the old church. There are 2 buildings in the background behind Ultron, to the right of him, that look similar. They're both tall, narrow buildings, and that pair of buildings looks a lot like the 2 buildings in the upper left corner of this shot. So to keep my toy box relatively small, I decided that those 2 buildings look enough alike that they're going to be the same buildings in my toy box. And that means that the building that you see here that fills most of this shot from the movie would be the backside of this building from this shot in the movie. And the church would be behind this building on the left. And what that means is then that the church would be behind this building here on the left, and it would be sitting right in this area. And so that's how I designed the layout of my toy box. All right, so we're going to be filling in this area next time with some stuff. There's going to be a sidewalk that's going to run along here, and that determines where we put the old church. And we're going to build the church next time because that's going to take a little bit of effort. But for today, let's go ahead and fill in the rest of the buildings around the toy box. And we'll start over here since this is where we left off. And by the way, we can take these little spacer blocks out. Okay. And going back up to Building Sets Group 2. Once again, we're going to use the skyscraper lobby, and we're going to place that on the corner of this terrain block right here like that. And then we'll put 2 of these large glass skyscraper pieces there. And then to make sure we space out the buildings properly. And actually, I already messed this up. This needs to sit 3 nudges over. So 1, 2, 3, and 2 back. So you're going to want your spacers to be positioned accordingly. I forgot to put the spacers in before I put this building in. Let me put this in place, and then I'll put a couple of spacers down to show you where this needs to sit. So the spacer should sit right on the corner of this building like that, or this block underneath, and like that, okay? And that's where that building is positioned accordingly. And then now over here, we'll place 2 more spacers down. Two brick buildings next to that, or a brick building with 2 levels. And we'll place this one out like that. And we're going to use this building here like that. So it's up against the left edge of the terrain block underneath of it and positioned like you see there. And the little red door, I believe, should sit over here like this. And I didn't get a good look at that, but yeah, that's where that door should sit. Okay, and once again, take these little blocks out. So the reason I did that is that way you have this little area, narrow area behind the buildings that you can run behind. Because you'll be chasing townspeople down and stuff back here. So you want to be able to get around those buildings. Alright, coming out over here, back down to the blocks drawer on the corner of the building, we're going to put down 2 of these. And then under Building Sets Group 2, we're going to put like a little row of cafe buildings along here. And this is going to sit back like that. And again, I don't have any exact screenshots of this area from the movie. So I'm kind of making this area up as I go. But that's okay. Got to improvise since we don't know exactly what should go here. I kind of looked at those other screenshots, some of the background, the buildings in the background that were there. Especially in that first screenshot that I showed you, and I just tried to recreate some of the buildings you saw in there and put a little bit of variety in here so that so that it doesn't look too repetitive. And I also tried to lay it out in streets so it makes sense. So there's going to be a sidewalk running along here when we're done. The church is going to sit right in the middle of this open area. And it's just all going to make sense as to why it's laid out the way it is. It's going to look like city streets when we're done. Okay, I think the next area that I've got, rather than starting over here, we're going to begin over here for this next area. We're going to work our way back around this side to the area around that park. So once again, we'll come down to the blocks drawer and put in some spacers. We're going to put these in the way you see there. And then this is going to sit on the end of this, push it back, one little nudge, okay? So this block is ensuring that we're a half a nudge out away from the end of this block, and then we're a half a nudge, half a block back from the edge of that block. And then we're going to stack this up 3 high. And then we're going to place this down like that. Once again, we'll use the skyscraper lobby. This is going to sit on here and right up against the right edge of the terrain, like you see there. And we'll turn and put the door facing this way. And we'll put 2 of these down on top of it. I don't know if these are the buildings that should go here, but it fills in this area of the toy box and makes it look like a city, so it works. Oops, went too far. Alright, and that one too high as well. Alright, so then we can take out these blocks. Alright, it's starting to look a little bit like a city, so that's really good. Alright, let's start right here, I guess. And we'll start on this side of the street. In that one screenshot, there's like a little kiosk that was sitting right here. This is where Ultron's minions were running down this way toward the church that's going to be sitting here. And couldn't really get a good look at the left side of the street. And I don't really have anything that looks like that round kiosk that could sit here anyway. So I kind of improvised here again and just put down some buildings with little cafes and things. Just to try to make it look interesting. And we're going to place some little sidewalks and details along there, so that gives us a street over here. And then back over this way, on this end, once again back to the blocks drawer, going to place one block here like that. Just spinning the camera around to give you a good look at where this is. The red brick building is going to sit up next to that block. Two levels high there. Okay. And then this building again. And we're going to put up one little nudge to the right. There it goes. We're going to do 1, 2 of those glass pieces on top. One, 2, 3 blocks like that. And this red brick building will sit here like that. Again, too high. We can go ahead and take all of these out. So we've got a nice wide street over here. Oh, and by the way, this building should be a little bit longer, like that. So I've got a nice street here like this, with a little park on the left, a street here, and that's looking pretty good. Let's see, how are we doing on time? Oh, we got a little bit of time left. Let's fill in a little thing here. Now, these buildings are all pretty well intact, but as you saw in the movie, there's a lot of destruction here, so I thought it'd be really good to use some of the damaged buildings. So if we go to the right, we have to scroll a little ways to get these, and I probably should have put down one of these pieces ahead of time, but we have these nice little rubble corner pieces. We're going to put some of those down like that. We're just going to kind of outline a building, or what used to be a building. So like that. And with all the rubble piles we're going to put around, that just makes that look really good. So I like that a lot. We're going to add in some more details later. We're also going to put down some plants here. So out of the plants drawer, we're going to put down these plants in this order. That needs to sit there like that. This one's going to sit along the back like that. This one here this way with the flat edge facing out on this one. Like so. And I'm going to be using the World War Hulk power disc next time to style these. I'm not going to do that right now because it changes the bounding box for these. But that will create another damaged building here. And if you don't have that power disc, you can use these again and just build another little building here. And frame it in. But I like using this power disc because even though these pieces add a little bit more memory, it's just some extra variety of destroyed buildings that really help this toy box look good. Well, I'd like to finish the city today, but My time is almost up, so we're going to finish this next time. We'll build the old church, and then we'll add in all the remaining details. Thank you for watching, and if you enjoyed my video, please hit the like button and leave a comment to let me know. I love hearing from you guys. Also, if you haven't subscribed to my channel yet, just click my photo in the lower right corner of this video. I'll be back on Wednesday to continue with this build. Until then, take care and have a great day.